Want to try fishing, Jeff?
Let's try fishing.
Are you gonna fish?
I'm gonna fish.
Oh, nice. Finally. One minnow fish, another minnow fish, double minnow fish. Well, I don't know what minnow has 4 eyes, but as long as it looks edible, I think they won't care. Especially early in the day, I like to find stiller water. And so when I find a little bit of stain and still, that warmer water, the fish will tend to bite better even earlier in the day. Sometimes you gotta wait later in the day for the fish's activity increase as the sun hits and their body warms up and they'll start to move better. But if you find stiller, stained water, like I said, it's a good idea. The fish might be a bit more active there, willing to chase. See the stain? Stained water has little particles in it, right? So the sun, it's like little solar powered particles, right? And then those little bits hold heat. Sometimes I'm not paying attention and is when I get bit because I'm using suspended minnow bait. And you know, it's kind of a staple, jerk bait, suspending jerk baits. And when the water's cold, long pauses. You know, sometimes up to a minute long when the water's almost freezing. You just sit there and hover and the fish will just come up, and then just suck it in, you know? It's bizarre because it just looks like, you know, a toy sitting there, but they like it just sitting there sometimes, you know? Especially when that water's cold. When the water's cold, fall or winter, and I'm using jerk baits, what do I like? I like a fluorocarbon leader here. See that? And this is, I did a colored version. This is a, I think this is a Berkeley transition, just so you can see the leader. And this is a 25-pound fluoro leader. And what that does is soften up my presentation. When you have metal sometimes, I think it's too stiff, and that gumminess in the cold water sometimes gets more bites. It's bizarre. And I'll pair that up, you'll see here, again, with a gummy rod. Gummy rod, gummy leader, more subtle presentation. And that softer roll in the cold water, bingo, bingo, bango a lot of times, man. So the whole setup's key, man. Another reason for this gummy rod is when I'm using this thin leader like that, you don't cut through the pike's teeth. A lot of times you'll use metal so the pike don't bite through your line. But with that softer tip, you can get away with 20-pound, 25-pound leader. You know what I mean? It's like a shock absorber, so it doesn't give them an edge to cut. Once in a while you'll cut, rarely. But you just, if you retie often with that soft rod and your drag's not too tight, you're good, man. Well, the water temperature is just above freezing, and here's a little trick that I like for when the water is that cold. The old planer board. And what this board does is cut your bait out away from the boat, and you can also run your bait fairly short to the board. And I like maybe like about a half cast or 2 cast length of line out, and then I'll clip the board to it. And what that does is this board actually will help your bait create an action that the fish like. And it just, when this board's bouncing along in the water, their bait will just kind of follow along and kind of bloop, 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 kind of bobbles. And the bait will kind of follow and rattle. And that little subtle action triggers so many bites in this cold water. I noticed I was casting it earlier, I wasn't getting any reaction from the fish. And when the water is this cold, that little detail can be everything. Another thing I've done to add that bobbling effect that these pike like is I've added like a key ring here. Normally there'll be an arm out here where it's more stiff, but this swiveling key ring that I put up here on the clip really helps that board move, and it kind of just jiggles it a little bit more. And I think that really helps to get more bites at the end of the day. So just putting a key ring here to your clip, man, it can be all the difference sometimes. So I drove over to this area and I noticed some pods of bait fish. They're either alewives or emerald shiners. And what that planer board does is help keep my bait in that area where that bait is, you know? So that planer board, I have only so much line out, And so that doesn't let my bait go down too deep. It just keeps it in that area where the bait is, and that's where the fish are looking to target. So it really keeps you specific in a strike zone for a long period of time, if that makes sense. All you gotta do is make a long cast. That probably gets my bait about 8 feet deep is where I saw the bait. And all I gotta do is, for the right side of the boat, use a right side planer board. There you go, right. Can't go wrong when you have right there. And then the first clip with braided line, I'll just do a hand over loop there like that with the braided line. And I'll put the clip in here on the back red one. There's a tooth in it. Put it behind the tooth so that the board doesn't come off when you're fishing. And there you go. Here's another thing I do. I make my drag a little bit loose so you can hear when the fish pulls. You know you got some of them. I'm not paying attention to the board. I'll make my drag a little bit loose, just loose enough so it's not pulling when you're trolling. When a fish takes it, you'll hear it. Sometimes you're not paying attention. Got one on the board. Come on, I won't lose this one. It's our first bite. It's been cold out. And I told the boys that we might not get one until it warms up a bit. Just starting to warm up a bit. And bite number one. There you go. What is it? I don't know. I was casting and got nothing. And sometimes we use this planer board and a short line on the jerk bait. That bobbling of the board in the cold water, it's a little subtle difference than casting and jerking the jerkbait. And that could be all it takes. Sneaky. I don't know if I should have shown this. This is too good. When that water's near freezing, it's all about that planer board, man. Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Oh. Bobbling board effect. Beautiful fish, isn't it? Look at that, right there, check that out. That's from a lamprey, right? Those are like those parasitic eel things that suck the blood out of them, like water vampires. Wow! Oh, fish, good. Take that one, Jeff. There's a fish on there. It's a big one, man. Oh well, just bring it in. Start reeling. Keep reeling, nice and even, Jeff. Could be big, man. That board just got buried. When it's a big fish, sometimes that board just gets rocked, eh? I think we lost it. No, still there? Yeah, still there, eh, Jeff? Trout, it's a trout. Buddy, it's a brown. Holy shit. Oh, sorry. Stop reeling. We don't want to lose this. I'm in the trolling mode over here. I'm in trouble. Don't reel. And every now and then, a bonus brown. Is that your first brown, Jefferson? Look at that. Oh, that new color worked. You're in Toronto Harbor. You just caught a brown trout. Knock, knock, Jeff. Anybody home? He just caught a brown trout in Toronto Harbor and he's like, oh, it's not that big. I'm like, dude, this is a brown trout in Toronto Harbor. This is really cool. You know, you should be proud of yourself, but he's not. I don't know. I don't get this guy. There you go. You should get a picture of your first brown trout, Jefferson. There you go. Get a close up with that. You got it? When you're around the bait, you're around fish. You never know what's going to happen. Those planer boards, man. Deadly. Urban brown. There you go. Happy, healthy, and a little smarter and a little wiser. Good job, Jefferson.
Thanks. Yeah.
Cheer up. Life's not so bad, Jeff. So the last thing this time of year, when you got maybe minus temperatures at night, A really important thing that's overlooked is getting the last bit of water, you'll see here, out of your lower unit. You see that? Look at all that water come out. A lot of times people don't do this, and it freezes in there, and what happens is it can damage your seals, and oil and water can get in and oil can get out, and that's no good. That can wreak havoc on your lower end and you won't be fishing. You always want your lower end to look real nice, you know what I mean?